صلوات لمبی. اے باد صبا جا کے ہم کو بتانا، پیاسی ہے سکینہ. اے باد صبا جا کے ہم کو بتانا، پیاسی ہے سکینہ. یاد آئے سکینہ تو چچا لوٹ کے آنا، پیاسی ہے سکینہ. اس چھوٹے سے سن میں ستم میں نے اٹھائے، اللہ کسی کو نہ یتیم ایسا بنائے. خود اپنے لہو میں کوئی بچی نہ نہائے، میں تم کو بلاتی رہی تم بھی تو نہ آئے. میں بن گئی بعد اثر لائنوں کا نشانہ، پیاسی ہے سکینہ. اے باد صبا جا کے ہم کو بتانا، پیاسی ہے سکینہ. پانی کی طلب مجھ کو کھلاتی رہی ٹھوکر، کہتا تھا نہیں دوں گا میں ان سب کو پلا کر. جب شمر لئی نے کر چکا سہراب وہ لشکر، دکھلا کے مجھے پانی پھینک دیا زمیں پر. تب سمجھی میں کہ کوئی ہوتا ہے امید دلانا، پیاسی ہے سکینہ. ایک جام ہوا شام غریباں میں میسر، وہ کوزہ میں رکھ آئی تھی اصغر کے لحد پر. تھا مجھ سے بھی چھوٹا میرا بھیا میرا دلبر، شرمندہ میں ہو جاتی تھی پیاس اپنی بجھا کر. اب اپنے ہی ہاتھوں سے میری پیاس بجھانا، پیاسی ہے سکینہ. اے باد صبا جا کے ہم کو بتانا، پیاسی ہے سکینہ. گھر لوٹ کے جب شام کو جاتے ہیں پرندے، قسمت میں میرے لکھے ہیں میری زندہ کے اندھیرے. کب تک میں جیوں گی یوں ہی اشکوں کے سہارے، لگتا ہے میں مر جاؤں گی اب دور وطن سے. ہوگا نہ میسر مجھے اب لوٹ کے جانا، پیاسی ہے سکینہ. اے باد صبا جا کے ہم کو بتانا، پیاسی ہے سکینہ. صلوات.
Brothers and sisters, let's welcome Shaykh Nabil with 3 loud salawat.
ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضل ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته، ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأطهرين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم ملعونين. Amma ba'd, for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziya, for the enlightenment of the graves of Yawm al-Hameen, of the graves of the Shuhada, Ulama and Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahlul Bayt around the world, for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam Arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who's Rahman and the one who's Rahim. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sake of these 2 months and 8 days of azar that we have done. Ya Allah, forgive our sins. Ya Allah, forgive the sins of our parents. Ya Allah, if this is the last year that we will sit in the remembrance of Aba Abdullah, Ya Allah, let this year be the year of our salvation, and these tears be for us an entry into Jannah. Ya Allah, if you allow us to have life for another year to sit in the remembrance of Aba Abdullah, then Ya Allah, let us commemorate in a far greater way the azar of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Ya Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa'ah. Those who are in debt, clear their debts. Ya Allah, give victory to the people of Palestine. Ya Allah, destroy the oppressors wherever in the world there may be. Ya Allah, protect the Shia of Ahlul Bayt around the world. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq to go on the ziyarat of Aba Abdullah this year and every year. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq for Hajj and Umrah. Ya Allah, those that have brought hajat on this night, those that have difficulties and problems in their life, Ya Allah, for the sake of the madlumiyat of Aba Abdullah and Imam al-Askari, Ya Allah, remove their difficulties, fulfill their hajat, and dispel all of their sorrows. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to be amongst his true muntadhareen, his true awaiters. For the acceptance of these du'as and any other du'as that you brothers and sisters have brought, please recite another of your loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We have arrived, as it were, in our traditional cultural sense to the end of the Ayyam-e-Azah. And tomorrow, whether it's something that should be done or not done, however, it is a day that we have termed Eid al-Zahra. Garche, it's just the day after the Imam died. And this, parents, is a debate and a discussion that can be had, and tomorrow we will go into some of it as to what is the significance of that particular day, and do we have any riwayah, any narrations from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam about a celebration on that particular day being the 9th of Rabi'. But that is a discussion we'll leave for tomorrow. Today's majlis is one that it marks the end of our Ayyam-e-Azah, but is one that is of great importance. We've taken down the black cloth slightly prematurely, but they've come down, but our Azah is not over. When it comes to Imam al-Askari, this majlis, the Bani of the Majlis, the organizer of the Majlis, or the sponsor, if you want, of this Majlis, is none other than the Hujjah of Allah, the Imam of our time. And so this Majlis itself, it is unfortunate that at times Imam al-Askari is placed amongst those individuals whom we consider to be one of the small Imams. It's not a Majlis that we give very much importance to. It's not a Majlis that I'll go out my way to attend, but rather it's an afterthought of a Majlis, which is unfortunate because this is the father of the Imam of my time. So if I cannot show any respect towards the father of the Imam of my time, what hope do I have of respect from the Hujjah of Allah Himself? And this in itself is part and parcel of that. When that moon the sun was setting for this night, for every believer that is in tune with the Hujjah of Allah, there would have been a huzn, a sadness that entered their heart. A sadness they can't explain. Why? Because the Hujjah of Allah is sad at that moment. And that intrinsic link that the person has with the Hujjah of Allah, it sometimes wanes, it sometimes weakens. But by and large, with the believer, he is connected with the Hujjah of Allah, as I've explained to you many times, at a physical, metaphysical, spiritual level with the Hujjah of Allah. Rahimallahu shi'atana khuliqu min fadli tinatina. The Imam says, may the mercy of God be upon our Shi'as. They were created with our leftover clay. وَعُجِنُوا بِمَاءِ وِلَايَتِنَا. And they were mixed with the water of our wilaya. So they are happy when we are happy. They feel our sadness when we are sad. This sadness that set into the heart at the time of sunset on this day is because the Hujjah of Allah Himself is in a state of mourning. Then what can one say of the Shia that is inattentive of this day, is unaware of this majlis, does not give it its importance? How will one answer the Hujjah of Allah? It's a difficult situation that we find ourselves in, that we're in a state of awaiting, but awaiting while still being inattentive to our responsibilities. And this isn't the topic of this lecture, it's something that just came to my mind. What I want to look at is very briefly the life and the times of the Imam, and then look at 4 distinct points from the life of the Imam, and in the end take a hadith that you have all heard of, but in the context of the 4 points that I have mentioned, to reanalyze that hadith again. You know that Imam al-Askari, from amongst all of the Imams, one of the most standout points of the life of the Imam is that he had the shortest period of Imamate. From the age of 22 until 28, the 6 years is the period of the Imamate of the 11th Imam. It is the shortest. And he is killed while in his youth at 28. The second thing to note about Imam al-Askari, from the age of 2, he was brought to Samarra. And he spent his whole life in Samarra. The Imam was unable to even leave. Hatta the Imam did not even complete Hajj in his life. And that's why the Imam has a similar narration. It says, none of my ancestors were ever oppressed as much as I have been oppressed. Because the very movements of the Imam were being watched. The other very specific thing about the time of the Imam is that Bani al-Abbas at this time, the Abbasids had become very weak throughout the whole empire. In fact, the court of the Abbasids, the king of the Abbasids was ruled by the Turkmen soldiers that were brought in. Because as Bani al-Abbas expanded the Islamic empire, they brought in various nations to Samarra, various nations to Baghdad, one of them being the Turks. Eventually, over years, what happened is that the Turkish soldiers took control of the court, as if the secret hand behind the power of Bani al-Abbas. And so whenever they wanted to, they could depose of a ruler, get rid of them. This was the power that these soldiers had. And so Bani al-Abbas was just a puppet government, as it were. And this was all throughout the time. Imam al-Askari, he lived through the life of three of the Abbasid Khulafa, Mu'tadi and Mu'tamid. Three of these individuals, all of them as bad as each other. However, the middle one, Mu'tadi, was somewhat okay, but again, an enemy of the Imam. The Turkmen soldiers, to explain how much power they had, they took Mu'taz, they pulled him off the throne, they stripped him naked and paraded him around the streets. Then they took him and buried him in the walls of the basement of the castle, buried him alive and killed him. This is that level of sort of power that they had. So after they get rid of Mu'taz, they bring in Mu'tadi. Now he comes in, and 1 year is his rulership over the Islamic world. Relatively, he's a bit easier going with the people, but he still plots to kill the 11th Imam. And then after him is Mu'tamid. Mu'tamid was the most extravagant of the Abbasids. He would openly spend, much like the third Khalifa Uthman, that was known as giving to his family members and spending upon himself. This individual is exactly like that, that he was extremely extravagant. But at the same time, during this whole period, the Imam is being forced to report to the court twice a week to make sure that he hasn't left Samarra. Mondays and Thursdays, he had to appear in front of the Khalifa and declare that he was still there in Samarra. So that's the first aspect that is quite unique, that the Imam, that the Abbasids have become very weak by this time. But they're trying everything they can to keep Imam al-Askari under their watchful gaze. The second unique aspect is that the Shias of the time have begun to grow. They have grown in such a way that there are huge, strong populations of the Shias around the whole Muslim empire. From Samarkand to Bayhaq to Tus, Ahwaz, Qum, Nayshabur, Khurasan, Baghdad, Sistan, Basra, Kufa. These are all the huge strong houses, powerhouses of the Shias of Ahlul Bayt. And as I've said before, from the time of Imam al-Rida, there was this revival and this revolution amongst the Shias of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, and a strengthening of the Shias, both socially, economically. They became a powerhouse and a power to be reckoned with, though the Imams alayhimus salam was still oppressed and madhloom at the time. So the strong Shias, now by the time it reaches the 11th Imam, this population has begun to grow. This population has strengthened. So now there has to be even more frequent contact between the Imam and his Shias. But the Imam himself is extremely oppressed. So here, now you see during the time of the 11th Imam, though it was started earlier, all the way from the time of Imam Sadiq, this system of wukala, the system of representatives. But in the time of the 11th Imam, there is a huge, almost like, this is the only way. Because the Imam is stuck in Samarra, and no one's allowed to visit him. If they visit him, they have to pretend like they're walking past. At times, one of the companions walked towards the Imam, and Imam alayhi salam would turn away from him, or bend down to tie his shoelace, or do something and say, the spies are following me, walk away. And so they were unable to actually come and connect with the Imams. Many Shias had difficulty meeting with the Imam. So the Imam had this whole system of wukala that were there. In fact, one of the wakils of the Imam became the first wakil of the Imam of our time, Uthman ibn Sa'id. He became one of the first of the wukala of Imam al-Hujjah. You know the Na'ib Arba'a, the four Nawab, the four Na'ibin of the Imam of our time. They're all buried in Baghdad. So those of you that have tawfiq to go on ziyarah, make sure you go for their ziyarah as well. They've slowly begun to rebuild their graves, and especially in terms of Iran has been pumping in a lot of money to build the harams of these 4 naibs that are there. But they are buried in Baghdad, and you have to ask around, but the graves are known to the people. So, but the Imam couldn't communicate direct. So instead, the Imam had to adopt novel methods of communication. The sisters that are talking on the other side, I can hear you. Maybe I've been away for a bit too long. Could the sisters that are not talking tell the sisters that are talking to please be quiet? Santum, please recite salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the Imam had to adopt innovative methods of communication with his Shi'as. One particular method, one of the companions of the Imam, Dawood ibn Aswad, he's a wood seller, and he comes to visit the Imam, and the Imam alayhi salam, he says to him, Dawood, I have this asa, this stick, can you go and deliver it to Uthman ibn Sa'id? Uthman ibn Sa'id. Dawood ibn Aswad, he says that, what an odd thing the Imam is giving me, a stick to go and deliver to Uthman ibn Sa'id. Anyway, he takes this stick and he makes his way. Along the way, he comes across, like in that time, a traffic jam. You know, there's a camel, there's a donkey, and he gets into a heated exchange with people, like move your donkey or move your horse, a camel, they're not moving. So he gets angry and he uses that stick that the Imam is given and he hits the other person's animal to move it along. As he hits it, the stick snaps. And he realizes inside there are papers that have been stuffed inside. He quickly puts it together. He comes running back to the Imam. He says, Ya Rasulullah, I'm really sorry. The Imam turns around to him. He says, why did you argue? He says, why is it that you got into an argument? He says that even if they swear at me, don't react. Because there are spies everywhere and the situation is extremely dangerous. Even Uthman ibn Sa'id himself, he was an oil seller. And he had developed a 2-compartment oil vat, as it were. And he would pretend to come to the house of the Imam to deliver oil to the Imam. And the Imam would purchase this oil. The top portion of the vat would be removed, and underneath would be a portion that was free from the oil that had all of the correspondence to the Imam alayhi salam, anything that the Shi'as wanted to know, or that had come to the Na'ibin and they were unable to answer. Many a times it happened in the time of the Imam that individuals would come from Qom and visit Imam al-Askari. And the Imam would say that, why have you come here? I have a representative in Qom. He says, yes, but Ya Rasulullah, we wanted to come to you direct. You're the Imam, not them. We wanted to come to you direct. Imam says, no, go back. Imagine, from Samarra, Imam is sending them back. Go back to Qom and go and ask him. Go and speak to him direct. Why didn't you go to Abdul Azim Hassani? Why didn't you go to Ahmad ibn Ibrahim al-Qummi? Why didn't you, all of these various people? Imam would say, go back. Go and consult those individuals. Because the Imam was setting up this system of wikalat to get the people ready to be for this ghaiba that was coming. And so this system of wikalat, the Imam was preparing the masses for. The third very interesting thing that happened at the time of the Imam is that the situation, though for Bani al-Abbas they were weak, but they were in extreme affluence. But for the people of Iraq as a whole, the situation was extremely bad. The economic situation. They were in need of even the most basic of things like food. There was starvation happening. People were struggling to even get some bread to be able to eat. And this was because of the constant imprisonment. Bani al-Abbas, like a caged animal, like a cornered animal, now were lashing out. Whoever did not approve of them, they were throwing them in prison. It was just straight away. So the head of a household thrown in prison, what are the women and the children supposed to do? Other than starve. So because of the imprisonment. The second thing is because of the mass mismanagement of the Abbasids. They weren't utilizing the taxes, the Baytul Mal and everything in a particular way. And then the third thing is the incident of Ali ibn Muhammad, known as Sahib al-Zanj. And this is an event that Amir al-Mu'mineen predicts in khutbah number 128 of Nahj al-Balagha. This event occurs in 255 after Hijrah, during the time of the Imam. Now, Sahib al-Zanj, Ali ibn Muhammad, he claimed to be a descendant of Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam, and he led a populist revolution within Basra, where he, as a slave, invited all of the other slaves to join him in a revolution to overthrow the masters. And it was extremely bloody, extremely bloody. In the 14 years they overthrew the masters. They took control of the city of Basra. For 14 years, Sahib al-Zanj, he rules over Basra. In 14 years, he killed over 300,000 people, 30,000 of whom were killed in the first 2 days. He rules over Basra. All of the masters of those slaves, he brings them all, gives them all 500 lashes. All of their wives, he sells them as slaves for 3 dirham each. 3 dirham. He sells all of the wives of the slave masters as slaves themselves. It became so bad, the mismanagement of Basra, because none of the Abbasids, they were too weak. They couldn't enter now. So it became so bad that the people of Basra resorted to eating cats and dogs because there was famine in there. And then when the cats and dogs ran out, they resorted to eating each other. The dead bodies, they began to cannibalize the dead bodies because there was nothing left. For 14 years he ruled. But Imam al-Askari constantly throughout this time would distance himself, and many a time said he is not from us. He claims to be a descendant of Imam al-Sajjad, but he is not one of us. He is not from the family of Ahl al-Bayt. It was just a claim he was making in order to gain support. But after 14 years, he's eventually overthrown. But even in that time, Imam al-Askari is supporting families throughout Iraq. But there is this very real economic problem that is happening. The fourth main thing from the time of Imam al-Askari is this: that the people know that he is the 11th. The enemies know. The Shias know. The Mukhalifin know. He is the 11th. After him comes the 12th. After him comes يَمْلَأُ الْأَرْضَ عَدْلًا وَقِسْطًا كَمَا مُلِيَتْ ظُلْمًا وَجَوْرًا. After him comes the one that will establish justice and peace. So the Shias are eagerly awaiting. They want to know who the Imam is. But they're unable to meet Imam al-Askari. If they come, none of them were able to see the Imam of our time. Very few of them. Once in one particular meeting, someone comes to the Imam, he sees the 5-year-old or the 3-4-year-old Imam al-Hujjah, and then he says, on a number of occasions I'd visit the Imam after, but I never ever saw him again. Until the time of the funeral of the Imam. So he's preparing the ground. So the Shias know, the Mukhalifin know that this is the 12th that will overthrow everything. And so they have doubled down on the amount of surveillance on the Imam. That is, any of his wives, are they pregnant? Are they showing signs of pregnancy? Is this who from his house will come the one that overthrows us all? And so the Shias are aware. The Mukhalifin are aware. And so everyone is anticipating the coming of the Imam of our time. And this is all coming to a head in this 22, from the age of 22 to 28, this 6-year period of imamate of Imam al-Askari. Can you imagine the amount of things that are going on at one time, and how many things the Imam has to put into place within 6 years to prepare this ummah for a ghaibah this long? Very difficult. But at the same time, the Imam was now calling out from the 8th Imam onwards. There is this gradual push for the Shias to no longer hide, to come out. And so that brings us to the hadith for today. There is a famous narration that you've all heard. The signs of the mu'min from the 11th Imam. The signs of the mu'min are 5. There are 5 signs of the believer. Everybody has heard this narration. التختم باليمين, wearing the ring on the right hand. والصلاة 51, reciting 51 raka'ah of salah every day. والجهر ببسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, and reciting بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم in salah loudly. وتعفير الجبين, and placing one's head in sajda on earth. وزيارة الأربعين, and the ziyarah of Aba Abdullah in Karbala on the day of Arba'in. These 5 things, the 11th Imam says, is the alamat of the mu'min, is the sign of the mu'min. But why? What is it that the Imam is trying? Each of these have a secret point. They have a sir that is hidden inside of them. And what is that? Let's look at them one by one. وَتَخَتَّمُ بِالْيَمِينِ, wearing the ring on the right hand. The hadith of the Prophet is the mu'min will wear the ring on his right hand. But why is it that the Imam is reinforcing this for his Shi'as now? And the origin of this goes back to the Battle of Siffin. When the arbitration happened between Muawiyah and Amir al-Mu'mineen, and the Khawarij began to protest against Amir al-Mu'mineen, and he wanted to send Ibn Abbas. They said no. He wanted to send Malik al-Ashtar. They said no. Said, who shall I send? Send Abu Musa al-Ashari. Send Musa al-Ashari. From that side came Amr ibn al-As. When they came to the middle, they were supposed to arbitrate between Amir al-Mu'mineen and Muawiyah. Amr ibn al-As manages to dupe Abu Musa al-Ashari. He says to him, you know what? I tell you what we do. We both go out and we will say that our conclusion is this: both Ali and Muawiyah must both step down. There will be a shura that will be created, who will then select who the next Khalifa of the Mu'mineen must be. And we will both move away from our respected leaders. Abu Musa Ash'ari, he says, yes, I agree. So now it comes, say we have reached the conclusion. So what is it? Abu Musa Ash'ari, everyone is pushing. No, Abu Musa should say first. Abu Musa should say first. Ibn Abbas, Malik al-Ashtar are saying no. Let Amr ibn al-As give the verdict first from his side. No, the Khawarij push Abu Musa Ash'ari. He goes onto the minbar. He stands there and he says, we have decided that both Ali and Muawiyah should step down. And in the way that I remove this ring from my right hand, I remove my allegiance to Ali ibn Abi Talib. He comes down. Amr ibn al-As now goes. He says, as you have heard what Abu Musa Ash'ari has said, and that he has removed his allegiance from Ali, and he has removed this ring from his right finger, I also remove this ring from my right finger to do bara'ah from Ali. I place it on my left to reaffirm my allegiance to Muawiyah. From that point on, wearing the ring on the left hand became the sign of Bani Umayyah. And so now, years later, over 2 centuries almost later, Imam al-Askari is now coming and he is saying that تَخَتَّمُ بِالْيَمِينِ, wear the rings on your right hand, meaning there's no space for taqiyya now. You are strong enough. Come out openly and show that you are Shia. Don't be afraid. The second, and the salah of 51 raka'ah of namaz a day, the 51 raka'ah of salah a day, meaning the wajib plus the mustahabbat. Why? Because at that time, and even until now, the Shias are accused that they are not ones who recite their mustahab salah. And they're partly true as well. We don't really give much importance to it. Even now, Salat al-Jama'ah we're having on awwal waqt at the time. And there is enough time in between to recite Salat mustahab. From amongst, at least for Maghrib and Salat al-Isha. But we don't. Generally when it's Salat al-Jama'ah at another point, it's too late. The mustahabbat can only be recited within that time period. So for Salat al-Maghrib, after that, as soon as the time of Isha sets in, you can't recite the mustahab salah. You can't recite the nawafil. So you have the nawafil of the wajibat plus the 11 rak'ah of Salat al-Layl that make up 51 rak'ah of salah, including the wajibat in a day. It says that this is the sign of the mu'min, that he will recite 51 rak'ah of salah every single day. And the reason why the Imam is saying this, so that the Shias begin to do this, so that they're not attacked. This same attack that comes on them, they don't recite salah, they don't recite nawafil, they don't recite their sunnah, their mustahab salah. No, the sign of the Shia is that he will. Yes, it is mustahab, that's fine. But at the same time, there has to be some effort to go forward. If you're not used to reciting it, then at least start with one of the ones that has a lot of prominence is the 2 rakat Salatul Wutayra after Salatul Isha, the one that you pray sitting down. It is the only mustahab salah that you can recite even when you are on travels. All the others become sakit, you can't recite them. But it is only Salatul Wutayra, the recommendation is even if you are musafir and your salah is qasr, you still recite Salatul Wutayra because of its importance. وَجَهْرُ بِبِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ, and they will say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loudly, because this differentiates them from the mukhalifin. You see in the other schools of Islam, no one recites Bismillah loudly. In fact, they do not believe Bismillah to be just part of the surah. They believe it is an addendum. Whereas in the school of Ahl al-Bayt alayhimus salam, the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is part and parcel of the surah. And so, even in your Salat al-Jama'ah, in your Salat wajib that you're reciting, when you are reciting the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, you need to know what surah you're going to recite. You can't be like Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, which one shall I do now? Inna-A-Athayna or Inna-Anzalna. No, you must know from the before, the moment that you start reciting. Because why? It is part and parcel of the surah itself. You can't just recite and then be like, which one shall I go for? Yeah, because it is part and parcel of the surah. So you need to know which surah you're going to recite before you recite the second surah after Surah Al-Fatiha. So say it loud and proud, the Imam is saying. Be open about it. And they do sajda upon the earth. And the best of the earth is the earth of Karbala. To do sajda upon the earth of Karbala, according to the narrations, it opens for you 70 hijab that separate you from reality. Doing sajda upon the earth. Everyone else, they do it upon rugs and carpets and whatever else they can find. But for the follower of Ahl al-Bayt, it is recommended that they must place their head on the earth. And so this is how we get to this idea of the turba, that it is there and I have it as an easy way to carry it around. Otherwise the Holy Prophet would walk around with a bag of earth, literal earth, and he would open it and he would do sajda on that earth in that bag. However, the small turba, the tablets that we make, it is because of ease of use. And then the Imam says, وَزِيَارَةُ الْأَرْبَعِينَ, and the ziyarat of Imam al-Hussein on the day of Arba'een, showing strength of the Shias. That these are the Shias. Before, people would go, but Imam al-Askari said it so that it becomes a sign of strength, a sign of the movement of the Shias. And today you see it. what is taking place in Iraq every single year in the Ayyam of Abu Abdullah, on the day of Arba'een, millions upon millions of people walk to that single place. It's a show of strength of the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. It is a show of strength of the Shi'as that they go towards Imam al-Hussein, every single one of them, and every part of that Arba'een journey you can take as being one of the miracles of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. The selflessness of people, the love of the mu'mineen for one another, and that dedication to Imam al-Hussein. The 11th Imam was telling the Shi'as, now go. Be open about being Shia. Don't hide it. Don't lock yourselves away. Be open. Tell the world who you are. Show your Shia-ness in open. Don't be afraid of it, because you have a household like Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. There's nothing to be afraid of. And so tonight, as I said at the start, marks, in our cultural sense, the last of the majalis of our Ayyam Azah, with the shahadat of Imam al-Askari. When the poison was given to the Imam, there were different poisons that were given to Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Each of them with a different effect. The poison that was given to Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, it attacked the liver of the Imam, such that the Imam began to vomit pieces of blood that were coming out, that it made the people think that were there that the Imam was vomiting parts of his liver. When it came to the latter Imams, you come to Imam al-Jawad, when his wife al-Fadl gave him poison, the effect of the poison that al-Fadl gave to Imam al-Jawad was extreme thirst, that the Imam constantly called out, was saying, bring me some water, and al-Fadl stood by and she laughed at him. The poison that Ma'mun gave Imam al-Rada alayhi salam, its effect was, it took away the strength from the body of the Imam, that Aba Salt says the distance from the palace of Ma'mun to the house of Imam al-Rada was very short, but the Imam sat down some 10, 20 times before he reached his door, for the strength had been taken from his body. The effect of the poison that was given to Imam al-Askari was this, that every limb in his body began to shake uncontrollably. The Imam could not control the effect upon his limbs. They say that the Imam first was standing, but as the poison began to take effect, the Imam had to sit, no longer had the strength to stand. Eventually it came to the point where the Imam no longer had the strength to sit and was forced to lay down. The slave and the servant of the Imam, he says that I came to the Imam. The Imam said to him, bring my son for me. He says that I was not aware of any son of the Imam. The Imam says, in the room next door you'll see a young boy, bring him in. Imam al-Hujjah is in the other room. Tonight, this majlis, we give our condolences to the Imam of our time. We give our condolences to Imam al-Hujjah. It's the slave says, I entered into the room, I saw a young boy in the state of sajda. He raised his head. I said to him, Imam al-Askari is calling you. He says, I took him to the room. I saw him go inside towards his father. Imam al-Askari turned towards him, said, Assalamu alayka ya Sayyida al-Bayti. He says, my son, bring me some water to drink, I'm thirsty. Imam al-Hujjah brought water to Imam al-Askari. They say the Imam's hands were shaking so fiercely that he was unable to drink it. So Imam al-Hujjah raised the glass to the lips of Imam al-Askari, but the lips and the teeth of the Imam were hitting against the glass. The Imam fed his father water. Imam al-Askari laid down and his soul left his body. I read this, I was thinking earlier, Ya Imam al-Hujjah, your father asked you for water and you were there to give him water. It's the last majlis of the Aza of Imam al-Hussein. Ya Imam al-Hujjah, you yourself say in ziyaratna hiya, wala abkiyanna laka badala damu'i dama. Oh my grandfather Hussein, I cry for you day and night. When my tears run out, I cry tears of blood for you. Ya Imam al-Hujjah, you were there. Your father asked you for water, but come to Karbala where I see a father asking for water for his son. Abu Abdullah raises the 6-month-old child up to the ground. He says, "In lam tarhamuni farham hadha as-saghir." Says, if you won't have any mercy on me, then at least have mercy on this child. How they replied to him is known by all. And that salam be upon that child. مذبوح من الأذن إلى الأذن من الوريد إلى الوريد. Salam be upon the child, sacrificed from ear to ear, from vein to vein. Ya Imam al-Hujjah, you were there. And you kept the head of your father in your lap, but you see what's happened in Karbala in front of your eyes on a daily basis. When your grandfather Abu Abdullah fell from his horse, there was no one to take his head in his lap. Instead, وَضَعَ خَدَّهُ عَلَى الرَّمْلِ وَالتُّرَابِ. The face of Hussein landed upon the earth and the rocks of Karbala. Ya Imam, you came and you buried your father. There was none there that was there to stop you. There was no one there that was objecting to you. Your father's body was in one piece. Your father's body was placed into the ground. But Yabna Rasulullah, Yabna Zahra, your grandfather Abu Abdullah's body was not left alone as it lay on the earth of Karbala. No, instead they began looting his body. The narrations on this matter in the Maqatil as-Severe, they break the heart of any believer. They say one man came, he stole the amama of Imam al-Hussein. Another came and he stole the sword of Abu Abdullah. Another came, he stole the armor from his body. Others came, they stole the various parts of the jewelry that the Imam had. One came, he took the ring of the Imam. You hear he severed the finger of Abu Abdullah. But there is one riwayah that I've only ever read one other place, and I'm going to share it with you tonight as the last riwayah of this Ayyam Azza with you. One Mal'un in Maqtal Muqarram, he says, I came across the body of Hussein and I saw everything had been looted. I wished to humiliate Hussein even more. I saw that Hussein was there was only his undergarments on his body. I intended to remove them. The hand of Hussein alayhi salam held on to them. He says that I tried to remove the hand. The hand would not move. So I took my sword and I severed the right arm of Hussein. Again, I intended to remove it. The left arm of Hussein held on to this garment. Again, I took my sword and I struck the left arm and I severed the left arm from the body of Hussein. He says at that moment, an earthquake struck Karbala. I fell unconscious on the ground. When I opened my eyes, I saw Hussein standing in front of me. By his side was Fatima al-Zahra Allah and Rasulullah. Hussein turned towards his mother. He said, "Oh mother, this man has severed the hands of my body." ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم يا حسين يا حسين.
Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. کہتے تھے شاہ زماں بابا حسن عسکری، کہتے تھے شاہ زماں بابا حسن عسکری، ہائے کیا ہو گیا بابا حسن عسکری. کہتے تھے شاہ زماں بابا حسن عسکری، کہتے تھے شاہ زماں بابا ہائے کیا ہو گیا بابا حسن عسکری. سوئے جنا چل بسے کون ہمارا ہے اب، سوئے جنا چل بسے کون ہمارا ہے اب، دل ہوا ٹکڑے میرا بابا حسن عسکری. کہتے تھے شاہ زماں، یہ کہتے تھے شاہ زماں بابا حسن عسکری، ہائے کیا ہو گیا بابا حسن. گوہر نایاب تھے آپ اے بابا میرے، گوہر نایاب تھے آپ اے بابا میرے، رونا میں کیوں بلا بابا حسن عسکری. کہتے تھے شاہ زماں حسن عسکری، کہتے تھے شاہ زماں بابا حسن عسکری، ہائے کیا ہو گیا. روتا ہوں بابا کھڑا دیجو تسلی ذرا، روتا ہوں بابا کھڑا دیجو تسلی ذرا، کون رہا اب میرا بابا حسن عسکری. کہتے تھے شاہ زماں حسن عسکری، کہتے تھے شاہ زماں بابا حسن عسکری، ہائے کیا ہو گیا. ظالم بے پیر آپ مجھ کو ستائیں گے سب، ظالم بے پیر آپ مجھ کو ستائیں گے سب، کیا کروں اب میں بلا بابا حسن عسکری. کہتے تھے شاہ زماں حسن عسکری، کہتے تھے شاہ زماں حسن عسکری، ہائے کیا ہو گیا. کربل کی کہانی جب کوئی بھی سنائے گا، دل والوں کی آنکھوں سے ایک دریا بہائے گا. زہرا زہرا پر سالو 72 کا، زہرا زہرا پر سال 72 کا، وہ قافلہ سرور کا جو شان سے نکلا تھا. صغرا کو خبر کیا تھی نہ لوٹ کے آئے گا. زہرا زہرا پر سالو زہرا زہرا پر سال. ٹوٹی ہے کمر شہ کی گھبرانا مگر اکبر، ٹوٹی ہے کمر شہ کی گھبرانا اکبر. فرزند نبی تیری میت کو اٹھائے گا زہرا زہرا پرسال زہرا کا پامال ہوا قاسم جب گھوڑوں کی ٹاپوں سے پامال سم جب گھوڑوں کی ٹاپوں کس طرح چچا تیری میت کو اٹھائے گا زہرا زہرا پرسال زہرا کا تھا ہاتھوں کے کٹنے کا کچھ غم نہ دلاور کو تھا کانٹوں کے کا کچھ غم نہ دلاور کو سیدانیوں کا پردہ اب کون بچائے گا زہرا زہرا پرسال و 72 زہرا پرسال روتے تھے علی اصغر جھولے میں نہ سوتے تھے روتے تھے اصغر جھولے مادر کو خبر کیا تھی ایک تیر سلائے گا زہرا زہرا پرسال و 72 کا زہرا زہرا پرسال و 73 کا مہمان بلائے ہیں اے کوفی و سرور کو مہمان بلایا ہے اے کوفی و کیا کنبہ شہدی کا پانی بھی نہ پائے گا زہرا زہرا پرسال و 72 زہرا زہرا پرسال و 72 کا زہرا سال و 72 کا مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین شبیر کی وہ لاڈلی شبیر کی وہ لاڈلی ہے سینے پہ جو شہ کے پلی سینے پہ جو شہ کے پلی جس کی ابا بن میں جلی جس کی ابا بن میں جلی منہ پر تماچوں کے نشان مولا یا حسن یا حسین مولا یا حسن یا حسین 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 محمد وآل محمد صلوات
السلام علیکم یا رسول اللہ السلام علیکم یا امیر المؤمنین وابن سید الوسیین السلام علیکم یا فاطمة الزہراء سیدۃ النساء العالمین السلام علیکم یا حسن المجتبی السلام علیکم یا ابا عبداللہ وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله عبدا ما بقيت وبكي الليل والنهار ولا جعل الله آخر الأحد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين لا أولاد الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولى ابن مولاه، السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلطان أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى الرضا، كن شفيعا وشفيع وبال والدي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان، الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسخر الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم